Okay, that was a thing. Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Good to see you, Jeff, and Luke, Eric, and Tony. Welcome to the show. A little short intro tonight. I'm actually going to keep the show. Well, I keep saying this, but probably going to keep the show short-ish. Thanks, Jeff. We'll get real quick into what was in the jam. It's a little bit different tonight. So I'm actually going to flip the order slightly in what I'll talk about. So what you heard was actually basically two things in the jam. One was a track, a track that is the first part of what's going to be my performance on November 1st. And so, first place it's been played anywhere besides the house. So let's go ahead. We'll get into what was in the jam, and I'm going to cough, of course. So first thing up was, like I said, the track, and I basically rolled in a produced version, so I can't really show you all the bits and pieces, but that track was made up of a couple of instances of Kontrast and multi-poly. I think there's an instance of cult in there as well, and that was it for the backing track, and then the live leads were played on the modular. So that was what was in the track, the whole thing. And I think I have a couple different cult patches in there. One of them is playing in the background now. So anyway, I think let's like I say, that's the jam. That was all. It was pretty simple. I just wanted to see if it actually would work to play it live like that. It sort of does. I still need to work on the lead parts. But thank you, Eric. I appreciate the compliment. And Jeff as well. Thank you. So anyway, that was that. Why don't we go ahead and jump in on stuff and what I want to talk about, whatever that is. So I guess you all you noticed from the launching the cover graphic thumbnail that. Oh, and let me back up real quick. The patch is basically the same as the patch that I've been working on the modular. So it does do 3 different sounds the way I've got it patched up. I've got the 3 oscillators running through the BARP filter, doing various things, and then I've also got 2 of those, 2 of the oscillators running down into the filter from a Behringer 110 module, and that's modulated by the Behringer Maths clone, and I think that's pretty much all else that's going on in there. And then there's another voice that comes out of the ring modulator on the BARP. So that's basically the patch. And the ring modulator can either be run through the main filter or through or direct. So I mixed in. So that's the patch. And as I get things a little better organized and a little closer to showtime, so to speak, I will go into more detail on that. And so yeah, I didn't really intend it to be scary or dark. It's just kind of the way I've been going lately. Just a lot of really dark ambient kind of things. And I guess that's pretty good since I'm going to be doing the live performance the day after Halloween. So it just was a coincidence that it worked out that way. So anyway, let's go ahead and dig in. Let's see what's first on the agenda. Well, I want to look at something real quick on the other computer. If I've got it running, I do. Just so I don't start talking about one thing and something else come up. Yeah, okay. So I I've run out of inputs on my interface. Hey Danny, yeah. I haven't had a chance to listen to your latest uploads, but it's kind of hard to not go dark, I think, right now, and I don't want to talk a whole lot about that, honestly. I will say, I mean, some of you know, and maybe all of you know, that I'm closing my business down, and that's been keeping me super busy, more busy closing down than the actual work, which is not fun. But I've been putting all the steps in place to do all the things. I talked to the registered agents in Maryland, D.C., and Virginia today, and have got them working on the appropriate steps as best they can. AWS kept me out of my accounting software all day today. Yay! And while most stuff is still working again, the place where my accounting system is set up is not, so I haven't been able to get into that. So I spent all day on the internet. But anyway, I've run out of inputs on my mixer interface, and I'm considering the options. And I've been talking about that in Luke's Discord, and but there's some more ideas that came up, and I'm going to go ahead and air them tonight. But we'll start with what I had started talking about, which really gets into putting together some sort of new interface, be it and so there's, as far as interface is concerned, I've kind of leaned into 3. I was hoping Paul would be here tonight, but I guess he's not. So basically the 3 that I've kind of started moving towards are either the Audient Evo 16 with a couple of ADAT expansions, or the new version of the Focusrite 18i20, or maybe the Arturia Audio Fuse 16 rig. And they've all got their advantages and disadvantages, of course. The Evo and the Focusrite are relatively inexpensive, and they've got nice patching and mixing software that goes with them. The Audio Fuse is considerably more expensive, but has its own unique sets of offerings. So anyway, I've been thinking about this. It's been eating up a lot of my mind and time to think about this. It's kind of got me in a mood, so to speak. So anyway, the other so the idea, the deal is, if I keep things going the way they're currently going, I need at least 19 inputs on the interface and at least a dozen out, which is or close 10 or 12 out. I could live in 10, because that's what I'm living in now. But this is coming, of course, at a time when I don't want to spend a whole lot of money, so as it always does, and I guess so another option as far as interfaces is concerned is to go with another mixer, and I kind of like I like the PreSonus mixers. This one's got 24 ins and 14 outs, which is plenty. And this is a nice budget option. I hate patch bass, Tony. I can't stand having to stop and patch. And the other thing too is that if I'm gonna, the idea behind having hardware and piping it in is to be able to offload stuff that I've done offload stuff off the processor possibly for multi-tracking. Um, yeah, I just Patch Bays and me just don't get along. I like the PreSonus mixers a lot. I've used them live, the real big one, and yeah, it's like I hate having to stop and repatch, or it's just if I can click on the rerouting in software is easy, especially since if everything is available to me and ready to roll. Hey Kurt, good to see you. Good to see you. And it was good to see you on Saturday. So it's I'm just in this kind of space, and it's like, nah. So it's actually kind of put me off a little bit. I've just been kind of like, which is kind of a bad timing to be doing that. But I hate being frustrated. Well, and see, that was one of the reasons, and we were talking about this in the other Discord. The PreSonus is nice because it does have AVB for expansion, and I think you can go some ridiculous number of channels, and the question becomes, and again, something we were discussing is, do I have to live with just PreSonus devices, or can I use other people's AVB stuff? And because AVB is a standard, but it's like not everyone may necessarily play by the same rules like they do with Dante or MIDI or other similar technology. Now, of course, AVB is considerably less expensive. Yes, that other, that Boston-based manufacturer. I mean, I love Motu. I really do, and I would love to build out a Motu system, but just, let's do a total of 32 channels. Interesting, because I've done studio lives in much larger rigs, but hey Sean, welcome, for live stuff, with digital AVB snakes running everywhere, and multiple consoles and the whole and running around with iPads and the whole thing. But again, it may be a limitation to the particular series. I don't know. Like the SC may be limiting. I don't know. That said, I say I don't see myself getting much bigger, and the so the SC, I don't, yeah, and again, I've never used the SC, so anyway, I'll look into it. I don't know that I'm going this route, because there's other, I've got other thoughts, and it's like I don't see myself ever outgrowing 24 if I stay this way. Yeah, and that's I just got to look, keep an eye on it. If I go with a excuse me. If I go with an interface and ADATs, most of those are limited to the biggest one of those that I've seen is 32, I think. Right, Tony. We're computer people in our real lives, and it's like, and try and limit as much of that as possible in our music life, and that's why I like this form factor. I like this mixer. I've used the Studio Lives, the older versions of Studio Lives, countless times on gigs, at festival gigs, and you know, so I'm familiar with them. I'm comfortable with them. The 16 rig, so yeah, the Arturia, and I don't have a graphic for just the Arturia. The Arturia is pricey, but it's really ideally made for a synth studio. It's got 16 line level, or 16 line inputs, 2 of which appear on the front as combo jacks, as well as their TRS plugs on the back. So for someone like me, well, so there is. I mean, the AVB is digital I/O. I mean, I guess you're wanting other digital I/O like. No, I see. Me and Spit. I don't really care about SpitIf, but that's me. It's not something that's ever really been in my workflow. At least not for a lot of years. I think I did have some SpitIf stuff, a SpitIf adapter for Toslink, so I could bring in a couple of channels of optical off of a mini disc player a long time ago. I do a lot of AES stuff in the day gig. But anyway, one of the really cool things about the 16 rig is that its outputs are all DC coupled, which means you can use them to send CV to the modular rig. So I was planning, Eric, to go USB to the computer. I've used that, and I know it works. But again, all of this is supposing that I keep a status quo of, and Eric, I've used the USB recording a lot from the various generations of Studio Lives. That worked well pretty much from day one. So all of this presupposes that I'm going to maintain the status quo of a studio with a bunch of hardware, lots of synths, and mixed with software. But there's things that, of course, have me thinking that I don't know. I've mentioned this before, that at some point I'm going to need to downsize or want to downsize. We may move away. All these things come into my head, and then this past few days, there's been, let's see if I get this right, this stuff going on, and that's okay, Luke. No worries. I like I said, Will, and welcome, Will, good to see you. I absolutely love the Motu stuff that I have. I just can't afford, I would not be able to afford it to do this big a rig. And then with, like I said, with these guys showing up on the horizon, or actually cresting the horizon and being here, I could spend less money on software and beefing up my computer another notch if it need be, and getting rid of all the hardware except for controllers and maybe one or two, one synth, and the modular. I'll keep the modular, obviously. So and that's oh. I'm just trying to see the chat. So I know in putting this stuff, I kind of put together the order of things with the idea of knowing who may or may not be here tonight. I know Paul Paul would have been all over the 16 rig. Paul Artola or Chrome, Uncle Chrome would have been all over the Arturia. I know Luke Luke is a champion of Omnisphere, and I'll tell you what, from what I've heard of it today, while not being able to work, it's impressive. And it's got a nice cohesive user interface that's really well designed. If not a little bit, I will say touch dated, but it's nice. It's nicely designed, and as Luke will say again, worth every penny. An interesting observation. Pat State Azure made an interesting observation, or somebody on his stream today made an interesting observation about the interface, and yeah, I'm looking forward to that. I think I'm going to see the same one, Danny. An interesting observation was that a third of the screen is taken up with the Omnisphere logo, which is kind of interesting. And there was a lot of conversation in the chat for Pat's stream today about comparing Omnisphere with Falcon, with the new version of Falcon. And the consensus is that the Omnisphere interface is more cohesive, whereas Falcon, you're diving around in all kinds of corners. There are some interesting things in Falcon. One of their new synth engines is absolutely fascinating. There's right. There's not using my GPU, and I don't have a GPU card in this computer. I looked at Falcon some time ago. It confused me as well because there's a lot of little bits and pieces that you have to drag around to use. It's kind of like modular, semi-modular thing, and it's very intense. It's got a lot of things going for it, and the price is very attractive, especially right now with the new version. So they've got it like 50% off. So part of me is in this idea that I'll just get rid of stuff except for my controllers and maybe one synth in the modular, and looking through the Omnisphere supported hardware list, they somewhat support they say fully support, but they somewhat support the Native Instruments Control S. And I think I could probably make it do it more if I did my own mappings. They supposedly almost fully support my Arturia Keylab. Actually, a little more support for the Keylab than they do for the Control S. And then, as a controller and an emulated synth, apparently they also have the Take 5. So I could actually use the Take 5 as a controller for Omnisphere. And that kind of excites me because that gives me the one thing that I always find that I miss in deep software synths, and that's the tactile kind of control of things. So it's kind of got me thinking about this a pretty major revamp, probably possibly sometime in November. I don't know. We'll see. The big question for me becomes, what will my machine do if I load Omnisphere on it? It's like, how badly will it explode? And I know it's not an apples to apples comparison, but and Luke, you don't have 3 yet, probably. But I'm curious as to how Omnisphere CPU load compares to, say, well, we can use 2. They're saying that Omnisphere 3 is not significantly different as far as CPU load from 2. They're both apparently very, very similar. So the question is, if you compare Omnisphere that you have to, say, and I know you've dumped a lot of a lot of stuff, but say Pigments, as far as CPU load. 2 was light to medium. See, and that's what I was kind of looking at. It's, you know, seeing in people's CPU meters today. You did a CPU comparison video. Okay, I'll look for that. If it's light to medium, and I was watching Chris from Signs of Life did a farewell to Omnisphere 2 stream, and he's got a Ryzen 9, I think older than mine, and Omnisphere 2 was not hitting the CPU all that hard. And Luke, based on your suggestion the other day, I've decided that I will stick probably with, for the time being anyway, with the PC, since aggregating my existing interfaces may not be wonderful, or as wonderful as I was led to believe. Even though if I got a Mac, it would be an M4 Mac. But anyway, I'm sitting here stewing on this, and I could spend. Part of me is looking like I could spend 12 to 14 or $1,500 on a new interface situation, or spend $400, I think it is, on a box of Omnisphere. No, not going submix. Submix is as useless to me as patching, because I do want everything to, I want things. I need things separate for mixdown, and this track that I used as the background track today really showed that. I really need to be able to, because there's stuff in that track and in the live that doubles up. In one case, I'm splitting MIDI, 2 different MIDI streams that actually end up both going back together to the modular, for some kind of trickiness, so that I can either sequence or play live, or both. So, having things, I really need to have everything in its own little place. And there's a couple things going with the backing tracks on that, where even though it's the same synth, they're different parts, and they need to be. You're gonna be downloading a while, Luke. People were talking like hour-long downloads earlier. So anyway, part of me is like, I could buy Omnisphere and Falcon. Heck, buy them both, and sell off a bunch of synths, and really go concentrate on in the box with light hybrid, and simplify my life maybe. And if I start running into actual CPU bottlenecks, then it's an easy, relatively inexpensive matter to go ahead and pop a new CPU in this box. Now, that's not going to help with Ableton Live's CPU usage situation, because that's about a lot more than just the CPU itself. In fact, the actual CPU doesn't really factor much into it. It's more about how fast the CPU can dump data out through the interface. And if that still ends up being a problem, a smaller interface, a smaller, better interface would probably work for me. So anyway, I'm just sitting here and stewing. I spent all day sitting here stewing today. So, since I couldn't work, So anyway, let's move on from that. Fun stuff. I think I'm on screen 9 here. Yes. one of these arrived today. I did not put it in. It arrived late today. I did not obviously put it into the rack yet, and I will probably wait till tomorrow. I'm pretty excited by this. This has got a, actually, let's put the slide back up. That one, yeah. I wanted another full ADSR, which this has, and it also has, the ADSR is nice because it's got the long switch. Yeah, I don't know, the panel's not pretty. The panel's not pretty, but you know, I can live with it. I do wish there were more contrast between the text. You know, black or dark gray and red are very close to the same tonally, so in certain lighting conditions the labels go away visually. But that said, it's a pretty simple module. You know, it's an ADSR. It's what they call the function. It's really a possibly looping AD/AR. Yeah, exactly, Tony. Module. There's a free running LFO, and that long switch. Yeah, the long switch is great. I don't know what the multiplier is on that, but there's a switch there in the ADSR called long, which basically makes all of the important times much longer. So you get these really long envelopes for LFOs or fades or whatever you want to use them for. The other thing that's I think is going to be really useful for me is the mixer / attenuverter setup. Now I've got another envelope that works well for that. So you know, it's you know, I've got the ADSR and the AR envelope that's in the 2600. And then there's a Behringer Abacus, which is a Maths clone, in the rack already, and that's not going anywhere. So, you know, that can do some super fast envelope, plucky kind of stuff if you want it to. So, you know, I think it's going to be a great addition. It gives me a couple functions that I don't have, specifically the attenuverter mixer situation. And that's kind of the way that's set up is pretty interesting and pretty useful. So probably tomorrow sometime I'll go ahead and put this in and move. Well, maybe it's like I'm afraid to, because I need this patch to work for in a couple of weeks, and it's like, so part of me wants to pop it right in there, and the other part of me is like, I need to not break what I got going on here. I'm looking at this. I haven't really looked at this closely until now. There's a push button switch and a USB micro B USB on here. Wonder what that's for. I guess it's got firmware. Huh, look at that. There is a little chip on there. Anyway, it's I'm looking forward to adding that. Only a couple more things I think to add to the modular, at least for the time being. I know it, you know, can say all I want that that's all it's going to be, but you know, who knows what actually happens. So anyway, that's that. What else was there another graphic? I can't remember what I was going to talk about tonight. I don't even know. So that's that one. Oh yeah, let's have some fun. So Jeff posted this to Discord today, and I jokingly said, "Can we load this into Kontrast?" And so I went to the actual website for this and downloaded the picture. I have not loaded it into Kontrast yet, so I thought, well, maybe we could have some fun and do a Kontrast patch. using that picture. So that's the next thing I want to do, and let's go for it. I'm going to bring the DAW up, and let's go ahead and open up this instance of Kontrast I've got here. Let me turn stepping off for now, and we'll pop up Kontrast, and let's see. I'm going to start with, does this have a new patch? Where's the new patch? Init preset, and let's see. Make sure I've got this. Okay. So we know we want to work with that crazy picture, so I do happen to have that hanging around in a convenient spot. So we'll just go ahead and drag that onto the interface. And there it is. Look at that. Okay, I'm going to quiet Cult down a little bit while we're doing this. And let's see. Turn that down just a little. Actually, not bad sounding just looking at that part of the face. So let's just start seeing what different things do. I'm going to turn the filter off for now. And let me pop that up an octave. I'm going to start with a little bit of blur just to kind of get some of the ragged edges off. Might as well go for a little bit of movement right off the bat. What the heck? So let's see. Let's make this fairly slow. Start with 8 bars. Kontrast is stupid fun for everything. I really dig this. There's just a lot of fun to be had with it, I think. I don't think I want to fall off the cutting board if I can help it, at least not too far. Yeah, there's changes in contrast, kind of sudden changes in contrast, kind of make it a little weird. Get that spinning. The textures that you can create are just, they're just really neat, you know. Okay, I want to, where is it? Where'd it go? Where'd it go? There it is. I want to modulate, grab another LFO. Slow it down. Oops. To an odd time. And let's stick that on size. I have noticed that the LFO, some of the controls can be a little twitchy. think I'll better start with it big and then make it smaller. That's a noise. You know what? I don't know. Let me check real quick, Grok. And welcome to the stream. Thanks for coming along. Let me get over. I'm going to check while on the other computer real quick. T, and let's go to. I am waiting for the website to load. Yeah, I need to lengthen up these envelopes. Okay, why is this not loading? Okay, come on. Here we go. Function. Okay, there we go. Let's see. Oh, a lot of stuff is not loading over there at the moment. Yeah, there is a it looks like there is a trial, and I think it's I think it's like 90 days. It's at least, or 30 days or 90 days. There is a trial if you go to the Dawesome website. And let's see. Let me do this. I'm going to go ahead and I'll put. I think I have the link to this already in the show notes for today. So down below the window, there should be a link to Dawesome for Kontrast. If there's not, it will be in there. I'll put it in there later on, but I'm pretty sure it's there now. Poly Aftertouch tool, huh? Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. I'm going to stick this envelope on the square. Oh, I need to do something with these LFOs. Hold on, let's see. Turn retrig off and turn retrig off. Like, why do those things keep jumping? It's because I've got... You know, Luke, I think an Osmos or even just something with Poly Aftertouch, but even an Osmos and some of the stuff that I saw today in Omnisphere 3, that would be a killer setup. Or any other, you know, MPE controller, but I can definitely see an Osmos being a blast with that. You know, I'm sort of talking myself into scrapping getting a bigger interface, you know. So, yeah, as far as you know, Poly Aftertouch goes, I've got that covered, and you know, that's quite frankly, if you're rational, well, and that's, you know, that's kind of sort of, you know, my feeling right now. It's like maybe I ought to get rational, you know. Okay, so I want to go to the filter. I want the envelope to kind of reverse control the filter here. Let's see. And I'm going to put a little bit of pressure opening on the... That would be, except for, you know, that would be easy, Tony. That'd be easy for me, because I've been working. The thing is, you know, one of the things that's got me thinking about this little or no hardware situation is, you know, with the exception of going over to Uncle Chrome's place or Paul's place for live jams, and messing around with the modular, I've not really used my hardware very much lately. I mean, none of the Korgs are turned on right now. The PolyBrute's not turned on, you know, and it's been this way for the last several weeks. And you know, it's like I really love the idea of being able to do sound design. And I know Luke feels this way too. I can do sound design in the dining room or the living room on the laptop and then port it over. Yeah, that would be a scary thing. It's like it's a hard thought. You know, and maybe I would keep the PolyBrute. I don't know. I don't know that it would be the first thing to go out the door. Let's put it that way, because for the most part, I really do love the PolyBrute. There's one thing with the PolyBrute that I think I talked about this last week or a couple of weeks ago that kind of, you know, I'm a little angry at Arturia about, and that's, you know, and this is also true of the PolyBrute 12, that if you record the MIDI out of the Morphe or the strip, you can't play it back. It will not respond to that MIDI coming back into the keyboard. And having been pressed on it, Arturia says, yeah, that's by design. It's never going to do it. So, you know, that kind of has me a little upset about the PolyBrute, because that was, you know, that as far as recording that kind of stuff for you know, to re-record it for tracking is, you know, to me kind of important. So it's, you know, I'm annoyed. So anyway, let's have fun. Let's not get grumpy. close this filter down a little more by default. Well, that's my thought, Tony. You know, why put it out? What's the point so much? You know, I mean, I can see, that said, I mean, I have sent MIDI from those two software synths. But yeah, it's like, you know, to me, that's kind of an important thing to have it do. It's a possibility, Jeff. I don't know. But people, I do know that people have been complaining about it. What the heck was that? Oh, I killed the CPU. Since long before the PolyBrute 12 came out, so they could have at least fixed it in the PolyBrute 12 if they'd had any intention. Yes, I believe they did, Tony. But you know, they can still, you know, respond to the MIDI that they create with it, I would think. I don't think there would, maybe. And you know, if they were, when pressed, why didn't they just say it? You know, hey, our license agreement with whoever it is that makes develop the Morphe doesn't allow us to do that. Oh, okay. You know, fine. Then we know what the reason is. So what's, you know, if it's by design, fine. Why is it by design? I guess is the question. I guess. I don't know. I don't know, Jeff. Because I mean, these are other. I mean, there's the PolyBrute is otherwise, and the PolyBrute 12 especially. You know, they're fantastic instruments. You know, I was talking to somebody about this. I was showing this to somebody the other night who's not really a synth person. I mean, she's really into. She really likes the sound. She likes the music. But as far as doing it, she's never really looked at it before. And so I was explaining to her some of the things that make the PolyBrute so interesting. And you know, I was talking about the patch bay, you know, the virtual patch bay and the you know, modulation matrix and all that kind of stuff. And she said, and she was looking at that and looking at some of the other synths in here, and she said, you know, I could understand that. I could pick that up pretty quickly. She said the others, you know, they don't, and how they do it doesn't make sense to her. You know, that's. So Tony, you can automate you can send MIDI back for almost every other knob or button on the keyboard or on the instrument, and also to some of the other stuff within it. So it doesn't generate that much more MIDI than constantly writing Poly Aftertouch, for instance, or you know, I don't know. It's. And again, don't know what's going on in their hardware, and there may be some legitimate hardware bottleneck. I don't know, but you know, my thing is just tell us, and we'll go away. You know, it's like just give us a reasonable explanation. I did not want this to turn out to be like a rant against Arturia, because I really like Arturia a lot. You know, it's like. I really like most of the stuff they do a lot. So anyway, I was hoping to get an interview session with Sebastian, and I was not able to get one. They were doing a thing for. They were doing a thing for specifically Micro Freak, but they said that there might be some time for other stuff as well in the interview if there was time, and I was going to, you know, I might have asked him about some of that, but and he might not know. I don't know how involved he was with PolyBrute, so I do know he's involved heavily in the freaks. Oh, love me that poly aftertouch. That's very subtle, but it's there. Okay, so let's see what you got from Luke. Okay, analog leads sitting 2 to 5%, big ambient for 10 to 15, so about the same. Okay, just for point of comparison, Luke, you know, I know it's obviously a vastly different instrument, but compared to like Pigments or something like that. I mean, I know you've got Pigments, so just you know, not exact, but because obviously they're different instruments, but. Because one thing I don't like about Spectrasonics is it's a you buy it, you got it, whether your machine will run it or not. You know, it's like. And it's kind of hard to build a beefier Windows machine than a Ryzen 9. Especially if it's one of the, you know, 7900 or 9900 versions. Oh, I know it's a good question too, Luke, and I hadn't seen answered or discussed anywhere else. Is how is Omnisphere on multi-core support? Because if it does well in multi-core, then you know it might. If it actually leverages multi-cores well, then that might help. But again, you know, the other thing is it gets down to Ableton CPU meter being so much of that being how much it can crank through the pipe to the interface. So I don't know of a way to speed that up. You know, besides messing too much with audio settings. Let's see something here. So I'm running now 256 samples at 48 kilohertz. Okay, thanks, Luke. I appreciate it. Let me kill this cult patch for a minute because I'm not hearing. Man, that envelope is long. I hit the slow button on the envelope. It is not say this, even this machine's not entirely enthused with this patch. I just saw that what was that? Let me see. I got a notification on my phone that Zigimantis or Zigimanatus has subscribed to the channel. So if you're watching, welcome. Thank you for the subscription. Appreciate it. Well, welcome, and again, thank you for the subscription tonight. I appreciate it. Yeah, I got a notification on the phone that you did that. So welcome, welcome to the shenanigans. That envelope might actually be too long now. Can't believe I'm saying on a pad sound. I can't believe I'm saying an envelope is too long. I want to add some more texture back to this. Let's go back to the scan. Give it just a touch of noise. And a little bit of the rose. Okay, that's good to know, Luke. That might sway me a little bit. I don't know. Yeah, no, I know it's just like a random informal test, but you know, my I tend to be pretty random. Yeah, the current version of Pigments is pretty kind. I started with I think 4.5, and it could be a beast. Yeah, I've got a noon meeting tomorrow. I was hoping to be able to have that meeting early in the day and get it over with, but I guess we can't have everything. Yeah, I moved the studio out of my office, I guess a couple years ago now. Wow. Okay, let's see. What can I shut off while I'm working here? Oh, I know what I can do. I'll shut this one down. Back to here. Okay, maybe that'll give us a little more freedom. Yeah, and you know, it's like when things get slow, Tony, I come upstairs and come into the studio, and sometimes I don't make it back down to the office. Are you working from home tomorrow, Luke, or do you have to go in? Oh, 5 o'clock. Jeez. Wow. All right, Luke. Thank you. Thanks for coming by, and thanks for checking those stats out, the CPU stats out for me. I appreciate it. We will chat online sometime after your classes and whatnot tomorrow. Have a fantastic, fantastic evening. Anything at 5 a.m. sucks. Well, most anything. Maybe once I'm retired, I'll be able to get up at 5 a.m. At 5 a.m. for Andy's streams. I don't know. We'll see. Yeah, I'm up by before 6, but I'm not functioning. That's for sure. So I've been getting up, you know, as I said, I've been getting up at 5:30 every morning for, I don't know, geez, 40 years or something like that. So, you know, getting up early is not a thing for me, but working that early would be a problem. Wednesday, I've got to get up extra early because I'm on the train up to New York for a convention that is half the convention it was supposed to be, which is kind of on the one hand is kind of annoying, but if it works out, get together with Ben and have a beer in the afternoon. I'm actually going to turn the slow off for the time being. But maybe I will. Let's see. Let's make this one an envelope. And we will make it slow. And we're going to drive it to, let's see. Let's have it do a mix of some sort of interesting effect. Oh, I know. Well, you know, so, Danny, I'm going up for the National Association of Broadcasters small convention in, that's not what I wanted, in New York. And, go back. And it was supposed to be kind of sort of a joint with the Audio Engineering Society. Well, sometime between the time I signed up to go to the convention and bought train tickets and whatnot, and the time I looked the other day, AES decided they weren't going to do their usual co-hosting or co-meeting convention with NAB, and decided they were going to have theirs in Long Beach, California instead. So I'm a little annoyed, because, you know, I really had some audio stuff that I will leave the shimmer that I had to talk to people about, and you know, so yeah, I get to go up and spend the day in the city, and I'll have, like I said, I'll have a beer with Ben if our schedules allow it. I hope they do. But you know, it's just, I had a plan. You know, had some stuff I wanted to do. But anyway, let's see. Okay, so that sounds, I like that. Now what I want to do is I want to take this new envelope that I got here, and I want to put that, let's see, what happens if I play with size? Something about the best laid plans of mice and men. I don't know. There we go. Might be too much grains. Multi-poly is it's, with the exception of its keyboard, it is one of my favorite instruments. As far as creating sounds, I mean, it's like I keep coming back to this one, but of course I've turned it off. But even just this simple thing. Just, it's got this there's just a feeling about that, you know, and it's, let me turn the Stepic off. Oops, that's not what I wanted to do, dummy. Click on that. So anyway, multi-poly, ton of fun. Love the, you know. Ooh, I'm liking this. A little more. It'll need a little more work, but I'm liking this. Let's put the pitch. Let's put the mod wheel on something. Oh, I know what I can do. Let's go over here. I was saying, Danny, you're like the what's this do? You're like the wave state maven. Whoops. No, I'm looking at this at the image, and with it, the aspect ratio changed to fit it into the box for the wavetable. It looks less like like the bread loaf that it is. And oh, okay, I haven't tried that. It looks more like the man in the moon, you know. Moon on a cutting board. Let's see. If we turn that up an octave. That's about as far as I want that to go. So let's see here. Click back on that, bring that back down. When I get into sound design, guys, I start to mumble. Sorry. Usually because I'm mumbling in my own head. So I have a little bit of smoothing on. This one gets, I think it's contrasty real quick. Get what to change colors? The scan? I didn't know you could do that. Oh, it says that the vibe controls? Oh yeah, there you go. So under vibe. So I'm wondering if one of the things that that I changed, that I've been experimenting with the last couple of weeks, maybe throwing off the CPU use here, is the computer output is actually of the yeah, it does. The computer output of the video output is at 4K, and I'm down converting it outside of the computer, and that may be. I've noticed a slight performance hit since doing that, so I'm probably going to change that back to everything being standard 1080, or a different preset in the video router in the video router, so it knocks it down when I'm streaming. But I'll probably just knock it down all the time. All right, now we need another LFO going. Let's see. We're going to monkey with this. And let's make this a smooth random. Yes. That'll work. And make that, whoops. Make that. Well, on which one of your machines? I guess the question is, because I'm doing this. Remember, I don't have a separate GPU in this machine, I've been trying to avoid putting a separate GPU in here. Maybe I should go ahead and put that the GPU card I have back in. I don't know. Port the displayed output to a projector. I could route it. I've got an extra output on the router. I could send it to a projector. Yes, I can do that pretty easily. But that would require taking the studio apart. I think you've got, I think the minis that you've got the chip that you have, I think has a better version of graphics than the one that I have does. I'll just leave that on clock for now. And I was going to take this random and I'm going to stick it, where was I going to stick that? Shoot, where was I going to stick that? Oh, that random. I forgot now. Got distracted. Was it on here? Maybe it's on here. Don't want this to be a bipolar. There we go. And I'm going to turn this second filter on. Cut the top end off just a little bit. You know what I want to try and figure out how to do? I wonder if I can do this. Let's see, I'm not going to use velocity. Can I make this be note? And it does not look like I can. Shoot. What I was going to try and see if I could do is use note value to alter the... Hi, Tony. Thanks for stopping by. Good to see you. We shall talk some more, I'm sure. Have a pleasant evening. Sleep well. Anyway, I was going to see if I could get note value to control the envelope so that the higher up the keyboard I am, the shorter the attack is on the envelope, on the main envelope. But it does not seem to be there. So, let's see, where else might I be able to deal with that? Because I think that's the only way to do it, is here. Let's see. Oh, wait a minute. Hold on. What do we got down here? I don't want mono mode. But if I click on here, it just plays it. Okay. Let's do this. Let's go over here to scan, or actually go into main envelope and click on that. Don't click on that. So click on there and no, there doesn't seem to be a way to do that. Unfortunately. Click on envelope A. Well, I'm using the main envelope. Is that the so I'm clicked on it. Far right modulator. Oh, got it. Okay, cool. So there, and this guy, and I want to pull it backwards. Thanks, Jeff. I love it. Ooh. So I've got an interesting on the patch for the modular. I basically I'm having the having a sequencer modulate the attack on one of the maths channels, which is driving the filter envelope for that lower section. So the filter in the 110 module. It's hitting the envelope for that, or being the envelope for that. So I'm going to take a real slow LFO. Maybe actually I'll use this random. I'm going to put that on here and pull it down just a little bit. Ah, love it. All right, that's gonna. Let's see. Let's not lose this. Let's go ahead and save. And let's see. Okay, so this is going to be a pad. Could probably also be a drone. It evolves, it's complex, atmospheric, turn all these things on. That'll do for us, sustained, yes. Okay, cool. Save that. And yeah. Go ahead and put this in the outro jam, and yeah, I think I'll probably work on this some more. There's macros and things to play with, so I haven't. I still got more modulation to play with, but I'm liking this. All right, thanks guys. I appreciate everyone stopping by tonight. I'm gonna pretty much call it a night, and head for bed this week. Yeah, man, my always famous last words. I should never just bother, you know. I'm always running up into the it's 9:30. It's actually better for me, Jeff, when you do stream, so that I get actually get off on time. But anyway, again, thanks everybody, and we'll catch you all on the Discords or wherever over the next few days. We will be back next week, and yeah, that'll do it. Internet's still being internet. Oh my gosh, yeah. It's not good when George. Well, Jeff's not streaming tonight, Kurt. Yeah, George, you keep showing up at the end, you know. Jeff is still suffering from what was left of the AWS. We think, because his, you know, I don't know. Amazon messed up. That's for sure. But all right, guys. Thanks for coming, and I will check you all later. See ya.